Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Piergiacomo. I go by PG, way shorter. I lead ecosystem at Taiko. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Taiko and what based rollups are. Guess if you can get the slides. Yep. So let's start from the very basics. Oops, let's see if all right, there it is. Next slide. Well, I guess in the meantime, how many of you are familiar? Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you so much. How many of you are familiar with based rollups? By show of hands? Not a lot. 1, 2, 3. Very okay. That's good. It's good because I can educate a little bit more, I guess. Okay, so just real quick, why does this matter? I'm gonna just share some basic definitions of like what based rollups are. I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper into Taiko Alicia, which is our main protocol. One very cool feature that we shipped recently, which is based pre-confirmation. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about our solution for synchronous composability, which we call Taiko Gwyneth, and is actually going to come out in the next couple of months. All right, so why does this matter? I think it's a pretty well-known fact that majority of L2s are running centralized sequencers. There is a need to decentralize the sequencer. It is a problem. There have been like several solutions to it, like set of rotating sequencers, of course, like solo sequencers that are very profitable to run, but also highly centralized. But why don't we use the L1 directly as a sequencing layer, which is exactly what based rollups are. Centralized sequencers can be bad. They have definitely like some pros. But they can be bad for several reasons. They can censor transactions. They can go down for several reasons. We've seen recently AWS outage, base sequencer went down. Arbitrum sequencer, like a couple of years ago, went down because it ran out of gas, like literally, so it stopped processing blocks. And also they cannibalize sequencer. They cannibalize at the L1. They, on average, take like 95, 96% of fees, and they don't leak value back to Ethereum. So, you know, all the roll-up ecosystem feels very fragmented. There have been some solutions, things like AG layer, superchains, stacks that try to unify under one roof different rollups, but they still feel like isolated islands. So again, why not use directly the L1? And that's what based rollups are meant for. Want to share this tweet by one of the co-founder of Celeste, which I think is pretty telling, arguing that single sequencers are not centralized. They preserve most of the qualities, verifiability, liveness, and permissionless. I think it's pretty obvious that, and already like proven that it's not the case. Again, going back to like literally like last week, like when AWS went down and like base sequencer had like outages issues, and that's just one of the examples. So just to give some basic definitions about this, if you're settling on Ethereum, you're a layer 2. If you're using Ethereum as a DA, you're a rollup. If you're using Ethereum for sequencing, you're what is called a based rollup. And if you're using Ethereum for execution, you're what is called a native rollup, which is something that the Ethereum Foundation and a lot of like core Ethereum researchers are currently working on, which I think is pretty cool. But outside of the scope of this talk, but definitely pay attention to it because it's gonna come pretty soon. So these are kind of like the superpowers of based rollups. Decentralization, like based rollups inherit by default all the properties of Ethereum, which means decentralization, liveness, security, censorship resistance, simplicity. Taiko itself is a type 1, so it's literally fully Ethereum equivalent. And of course, synchronous composability. There are some drawbacks, of course. because as you inherit all these properties from Ethereum, you also inherit block finality, which is 12 seconds plus. We've seen that on Taiko. Base rollups can be more expensive, and they can be less profitable because we pay way more rent back to Ethereum. This is kind of like our protocol overview. Taiko is literally a set of smart contracts deploy on Ethereum L1, facilitate manage proofs, facilitate rollup operation. Again, as I said, full Ethereum equivalent, no centralized sequencer, and we have a multi-proving architecture with like ZK and TEs. We work with like SP1 and RISC-0. You guys heard the pitch from Brevis. I think they're a great team, and we're very close to like work with them as well, and like welcoming new ZK VMs. I think that space is very exciting, and there's a lot of development going on. Configurable proof system and decentralizing, proposing, and proving. Like anybody can propose and prove a block on Taiko permissionlessly. This is a little bit about our economics. So a user pays fee, an L2 transaction fee, 75% goes to the block proposer, 25% goes to Taiko DAO, encouraging revenue generation. The block proposer then submits a block to L1, pays L1 fee, also pays prover fee to the prover, that then submits a proof to L1. At the current moment, we have 80% of ZK coverage. We're looking to get 100% ZK coverage in the next couple of months. And again, like as I said, like it's permissionless to become a proposer and approver. The liveness bond is 25 Taiko. If you propose like faulty blocks, you get slash, but it's pretty accessible to most people, I would argue. We're also like a great tenant to Ethereum. The graph you see is like Taiko before pre-confirmation. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what base pre-confirmation means. But as you see, like that was kind of like what we paid to Ethereum before launching pre-confirmation, and you know, it was a lot of money. But again, like we want to scale Ethereum truly, and we want to contribute to Ethereum without cannibalizing the L1. And actually, like we're like the second rollup that paid more gas, I guess, base because of like all the activity, but that shows kind of like our commitment to like giving back to Ethereum in a meaningful way. Oh, this should be a video. I don't know if no, it doesn't play. But anyway, this kind of like shows the speed of like pre-confirmation. Before pre-confirmations, Taiko was like pretty slow, arguably. We pioneered base rollups, so we chew glass for like kind of like to pave the way. But you know, a transaction could have taken even like 20, 30 seconds, which was of course suboptimal. Now with pre-confirmation, actually transactions take like 2-3 seconds. So we're at par with like centralized solutions while also preserving all the good stuff and the good properties of Ethereum. Just real quick, pre-confirmations are not a Web3 thing. They actually do exist in Web2 in the traditional world. Whenever like you go and pay for a coffee at Starbucks, they're like their bank and your bank like issue a pre-confirmation in the background, and then transaction gets settled after like few hours. But that pre-confirmation gives you the guarantee that the payment went through. And again, like these already exist in Web2. It also already exists in like Web3. The issue is that their like pre-confirmations are very centralized. With base pre-confirmation, what that enables is that any L1 validator can actually be a pre-confer. And there's actually an economic incentive to do that because there's an extra fee that gets paid, an extra tip that gets paid to pre-confer to issue pre-confirmations. And again, with base pre-confirmation, you have the best of both worlds at the end of the day. So you have speed and great UX, but you also have trustlessness and censorship resistance. And of course, like as I said, like there's economic incentives to do so. So the end game for us is like that any L1 validator can actually become a pre-confer. Yeah, so up as decentralized as Ethereum, up as fast as like any centralized solution that we have right now in the market. Web 2, as I said, like pre-confirmation are based on trust. Web 3 pre-confirmation are also based on trust. Base pre-confirmation are trustless. So I want to hammer this point down because this is very, very important. This is kind of like our roadmap. We launched pre-confirmations like a few months ago, and we're like still in the test phase. We're very lucky to have launched them with like some amazing partner like Chainbound, Gattaca, and Nethermind. We're running like a whitelisted pre-conf era, I would say. It's fair to call a spade a spade. I'm not here to say like we're the best, but this is important so we can test the software, we can test the system, and we're looking to like, oh, there's a typo. Actually, no, Q1 2026, right. We're actually like looking to like fully go permissionless so anybody can opt in and become a pre-confer like by the end of Q1, hopefully sooner than that. And that's kind of like the end game when it comes to pre-confirmation for us. Oh, I think there's I skipped a slide. No, that's it. Okay, cool. Last piece that I want to share with you guys is another cool innovation that we're working on, and it's actually coming out pretty soon. We call it GWINF, and it basically enables synchronous composability between L2 and L1, and also between L2s, given that L2s are based. What this means is like there's no need for bridging anymore. Like you could literally like access like L1 and apps on L1 right from an L2 without moving funds, just with one click, which I think is pretty important. Bridges are like a counterparty risk, and we've seen a lot of hacks and things that are not really secure and not what we should aim for. Bridges are a great short-term solution, but this is kind of like how we see the end game. So network of like synchronous composable L2s that also synchronous compose with the L1, making Ethereum and all its L2 feel kind of like as a same unified ecosystem. So we're also like, you know, waiting for real-time proving also to make this like way more efficient, and I think that's coming out pretty soon. I'm very excited to see that happening. There's definitely a lot of great work being done on that side. But yeah, so keep an eye for GWINF because it's right around the corner. And if you're interested in building on it or just like testing it out, feel free to reach out. Also wanted to share this very recent announcement. We work very closely with Nethermind since the beginning of our days. We have a base rollup stack that we call Surge, and it was actually just, you know, we announced that name chain was going to be ENS chain is being built on this stack. And, you know, we're working to like empower more and more chains to become based. So if you're interested in like learning more about Surge, please ping me. Surge, by the way, is stage 1 and actually can be enabled to become stage 2. So yeah, that's kind of like what we're aiming for, and very feel blessed to like work with like such great partners like Nethermind and ENS. They're like pioneers and OG in the Ethereum ecosystem. And yeah, I want to just leave you guys with like maybe if this works. There you go. I hope the future of Ethereum is not Coinbase, or at least is not just Coinbase. The future of Ethereum can be based. You know, for what the market is right now, it's looking like it's mostly Coinbase. But there are alternatives. I would encourage you guys to like explore those alternatives. Based rollups are definitely a very good and viable alternative to scaling Ethereum without compromising security and censorship resistance. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out. I'm gonna stick around. And yeah, thanks for listening.